My name is Happy Haynes, and I am privileged to be a member of the advisory board for the Salazar Center for North American Conservation. And here with us on a glorious day 2 of our Salazar Center Symposium. Hope all of you rested well last night. First of all, before we get started in today's agenda, let's show our appreciation this morning for the incredible panelists and presenters who got us started yesterday with a really big bang. So let's give them a round of applause. The panelists, the moderators. I looked up a couple of times during my furious note scribbling to see that many others of you in the room were doing the same thing. So I know we're going to be going home really enriched with some powerful ideas and thoughts from the symposium. And guess what? We have more on tap for today's session. So I want to lift up just a couple of thoughts that I have about the symposium and what it means. And first of all, we're so delighted to be here in British Columbia, outside of Colorado for our first symposium, and it is just truly a blessing to put into real meaning the idea that we really are all of North America. And there's, as we heard yesterday, there's so many different places that call North America home, and we're so well represented in this room by people across this enormously large and beautiful landscape. So thank you all for being here. I am looking forward today to some deep dives into some of the solutions that we heard a lot yesterday about, some of the challenges that we face across the projects and across the states and provinces of our 3 countries and the various islands that are part of that. And today I think we're going to hear some really interesting deep dives into where we go as we move forward, and how the tools that are available to us and some of the really big thinking about the resources and the preparation for the work that still lies ahead as we're racing. We heard yesterday, I think one of my biggest takeaways was about the urgency that we all feel about the work that we're doing to protect, and to save, and to nurture the environment, our natural environment. We're going to hear from multiple sectors as we did yesterday. So very exciting to know that we used to think of conservation as a very narrow group of people and skills and qualifications. And we're going to hear today from our presenters the fact that the environmental movement and the movement of conservation is a multi-sector operation, and we're really excited to see that. So I'm going to turn it over to Leslie for a few moments of reflection, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all feeling rested and ready to go on day 2. I think, as Happy said, this is going to be a really interesting, exciting day. We have lots of case studies, particularly on innovative conservation finance, that I'm looking forward to. And I'm just looking forward to the whole day. I think it's going to be a really interesting mix. And I just want to say, in addition to what I heard yesterday, or what Happy heard yesterday about the urgency, I also heard that we need to start thinking long-term, and that many people in this community have been thinking long-term for a very long time, and have been focused on very steadfastly on challenges to conservation. So I think we need to do both at the same time and figure out what is it that we, given the face of the challenges that we have today, knowing that those are going to change over time, what is it that we need to start thinking about right now and putting in place for that longer term vision. So many of you, all of you, put your heart and souls into your work and are great partners. And this community in particular is a great community. I think many of you come to our symposia pretty regularly, but a lot of you are new faces. And so we welcome you, we welcome new faces, we welcome people who have been here before. The Salazar Center has a new partner this year, which is RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada. And I just want to thank them again for their generous support of the symposium. You have been so wonderful to work with. Really, in addition to your financial support, and from what I understand, you've been a real thought partner to organizations in Canada working on conservation, and that is deeply appreciated. I have worked in my past life with many, many banks around climate change, and I can say that RBC is a real standout, and it's not just a thought leader here at this symposium, but across conservation. I would say in the world, you are one of the leaders. And I want to introduce Adrienne Lowe, who's RBC's Director of Regional Environmental Impact. Prior to joining RBC, she was with WWF Canada for 13 years, and today she oversees RBC's regional environmental partnerships. She's going to start us off this morning by sharing a few of RBC's current initiatives. So Adrienne, thank you very much.
Thank you, Leslie. Good morning, everyone. I'm new to Salazar, so my heart and brain is full from yesterday, and I feel so welcome. So thank you for having me and having RBC. As Leslie said, my name is Adrienne Lowe, and I'm the new Director of Regional Environmental Impact at RBC. And so I lead community investments in this role in a very place-based way. That was a big theme from yesterday. And I'll have the privilege of getting to know and building relationships with incredible organizations across the country, many here today. So it's truly my distinct pleasure on behalf of RBC to welcome you to the second day of the symposium. Standing up here today in this capacity is personal and so meaningful for me. I only joined RBC about 2.5 years ago, and before that I was at WWF for almost 14 years, building and managing corporate partnerships in support of action on climate and nature. During that time, I had the great privilege of working with and learning from WWF's conservation experts, Indigenous and community partners, some of whom I've had the chance to reconnect with here. I helped fundraise for and engage corporate partners in support of habitat protection and restoration across oceans and freshwater, community-based approaches to climate adaptation, and advances in carbon monitoring and measurement that is supporting the stewardship of carbon in nature. Above all, my experience at WWF shaped and cemented in me the firm belief in how crucial cross-sector collaboration and collective problem solving, the bridge building and the co-laboring that someone said yesterday, is in tackling the world's greatest challenges, especially the dual crisis of climate change and biodiversity loss. When I look at the Salazar Center mission and goals of the symposium, to convene great thinkers across disciplines, sectors, and geographies, to invest in ideas, projects, and partnerships that scale and adapt solutions to match the urgency and seriousness of the moment. In so many ways, this is full circle for me, which brings me to RBC and why we're here today as a sponsor of this event. So as Leslie said, we've had a long history of working in this space and with the charitable and not-for-profit sector to help address environmental challenges. Some here will remember the RBC Blue Water Project, which was a 10-year, $50 million commitment to help protect our freshwater resources. In 2019, we launched RBC Tech for Nature, which to date has invested $90 million in over 140 community investment projects in areas such as agriculture, energy, and nature-based climate solutions that help preserve our natural ecosystems. And just last year, under RBC's purpose framework, Ideas for People and Planet, and the ambition to support the transition to a net zero economy, we refreshed our community investment approach to center the interconnectedness of climate change and biodiversity loss, focusing on advancing nature-based climate solutions and climate mitigation, and recognizing the role that Indigenous peoples and local communities play in shaping the solutions. RBC is also applying its thought leadership and research capabilities to advance ideas on policy and actions that contribute to Canada's climate progress. This includes research on the nature economy led by my colleague Lisa Ashton here today, who is looking at how nature conservation and stewardship can be better positioned as a strategic asset in economic growth, especially as it relates to nature-dependent sectors like agriculture, forestry, and mining. You'll get the chance to hear from Lisa this morning in the discussion on rethinking policy approaches to reversing biodiversity loss. Yesterday, one of the themes I took away was how connected we are through ecological, commercial, and cultural corridors. We know that the transition will depend on the collective efforts and actions of a wide range of interconnected parties, and that we need to partner with and support those on the ground, those who are most impacted and who are best positioned to drive solutions. And that's why we're looking to many of you here today, the problem solvers, the disruptors, the optimists, the grassroots champions, to share your ideas, expertise, and experience with us. We want to work together as part of a whole of society approach to seed, scale, and sustain solutions that have real impact. We're inspired by the incredible work you're doing and proud to be part of this important gathering, along with several of my colleagues who are here as well. We are grateful to meet with, to listen, and learn from you. For me, my heart is full from what feels like coming home, and also the chance to build new bridges. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adrian. When I first saw the initials RBC, I thought maybe it was the Royal Bank of Conservation, and indeed they are. So thank you for your partnership and long-term commitment, and we look forward to many more years. I am excited now. As I said before, this is our first time moving the symposium outside of our home base in Colorado, and so we're really delighted to have this. This is our 6th symposium. How many of you are here for the first time attending a symposium? Wow, this is amazing. Okay, so each of you are going to bring somebody else next year. We're going to double the size, right? But we are really so honored to be here in this beautiful city of Vancouver, British Columbia. And to help welcome us, because we've been welcoming you to the symposium, but to welcome us here to Vancouver and to British Columbia, we're going to have a few recorded remarks from the Honorable Randene Neill, who is British Columbia's new Minister of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship. She was appointed to this position just this past November 2024, and before being elected to the legislature, Randene spent over 20 years as an award-winning reporter, journalist, anchor at Global BC. And most recently, for those of you who remember the wonderful reception last night sponsored by BC Parks Foundation, she spent some time there, and she also brings some experience from the healthcare sector. So we're really delighted to have Randene join us this morning to welcome us to British Columbia.
Good morning. My name is Randene Neill, and I'm BC's Minister of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship and the MLA for the coastal riding of Powell River Sunshine Coast. It is wonderful to greet you today from the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, including the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to beautiful British Columbia. This province has the greatest diversity of wildlife, ecosystems, and habitats of any province or territory in Canada. And the people who live here, including me, share a deep connection to nature, from our ancient forests and diverse wildlife to our coastal waters and mountain ranges. Conserving nature is one of the most important things we can do to protect against the worst effects of climate change while creating a healthier future for everyone. A central goal of my ministry is to help achieve the province's commitment to protect 30% of BC's lands and waters by 2030. We're doing this with First Nations, communities, workers, industry, organizations, and the public in a way that upholds the rights and title claims and contributes to long-term economic growth that benefits all British Columbians. Currently in BC, about 18.5 million hectares are protected, almost 20% of BC's total land area. So, to reach the 30% target, an estimated 9.9 million hectares, or about 10% of BC's land base, still needs to be protected or conserved, and we are doing everything we can to get there. Key to these efforts are the crucially important partnerships necessary to achieve our shared goals in a timely manner. In BC, we're deeply committed to reconciliation and have passed legislation to respect and implement the principles of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. First Nations have been deeply connected to the lands, waters, and all living things within their territories since time immemorial. Their knowledge and experience, combined with biological and social science, is the wisdom that we need to make an enduring difference for both current and future generations. Many partnerships also exist among First Nations, industry leaders, and non-governmental organizations. And to help coordinate efforts and funding opportunities, as well as communicate progress and impact, the province entered into the tripartite framework agreement on nature conservation with Canada and First Nations Leadership Council. This province also has several related strategies and program areas that are helping steer our government and partnerships in the right direction, such as the Together for Wildlife strategy, inclusive land use planning in partnership with First Nations, the BC Conservation Fund, Watershed Security Fund, and BC's first ever coastal marine strategy. Now, these may sound just like a list of names, but they are vital and powerful mechanisms that drive us and our work as British Columbians toward protecting land and water ecosystems, restoring our biodiversity, building a sustainable economy, and supporting community participation. Effective stewardship, sustainable use, conservation, and the economy are intertwined. And as we work together on these shared goals, we're rebuilding these relationships, not only with each other, but also with nature. Gathering today as you are and sharing your experience and knowledge will help us learn and accelerate our progress. So thank you again for all that you do, and thank you for inviting me to be with you today. I wish you an excellent symposium.